This is Dolores, the pastor's daughter, and this is episode 1 of Divorcing My Father. For most of my life, I was not seen as a person. I was seen as a tool, a reflection, an extension of my father's carefully constructed world. My father, a respected pastor and religious leader, wielded his authority in ways that shaped every facet of my existence. What may have appeared as a devout and loving family on the outside was, for me, a life defined by control, manipulation, and the relentless erasure of my identity and individuality. From as early as I can remember, I was cast into a role that wasn't mine to choose. My purpose was clear: to serve as a testament to my father's righteousness and authority. I was paraded as a symbol of his moral success, a living, breathing example of how his faith and leadership produced a flawless family. But this image came at a cost: my identity, my voice, my self-worth. My father's position in the church granted him immense power, not just over his congregation, but within our home. He often spoke about sacrifice and obedience, but in practice, these ideals were imposed on me as obligations. My choices were not my own. They were dictated by his expectations, rooted in his desire to maintain his image. Education, friendships, appearance, and even how I expressed myself spiritually were micromanaged. My life was not about what I wanted or needed. It was about how I could further glorify him. Every success I achieved was his success. Every mistake I made was a stain on his reputation. My emotions and desires were dismissed as irrelevant, even dangerous, if they didn't align with his narrative. My father's manipulation was often cloaked in religious language. If I questioned his control, I was accused of being disobedient, sinful, or ungrateful. Scriptures were weaponized to silence my doubts and reinforce compliance. His words, often couched in piety, carried an underlying message. My purpose was to serve, to reflect, and to never question his authority. When I expressed independent thought or feelings, they were either belittled or ignored. If I ever dared to push back, I was met with shame and emotional manipulation. He would remind me of the sacrifices he had made for me, painting himself as a selfless figure while using guilt to keep me in line. In his world, love was conditional, given only when I adhered to his expectations and reinforced his standing. Years of this treatment left scars that I am only now beginning to fully understand. Growing up under his shadow, I struggled with feelings of inadequacy, confusion, and self-doubt. I questioned my worth because I had been taught implicitly and explicitly that my value was tied to how well I fulfilled his vision. I found it difficult to trust others or to form healthy relationships. If my father's love was conditional, how could I believe that anyone else's love wouldn't be the same? I lost sight of who I was outside of the roles he forced me to play. My individuality all felt buried beneath the weight of his expectations. The breaking point didn't come all at once. It was a series of realizations that built over time. I began to see the patterns for what they were. They were control, manipulation, and emotional abuse. I saw how my father's behavior wasn't about love or faith, but about maintaining power. I recognized the toll it had taken on my mental health, my relationships, and my ability to believe in myself. What finally pushed me to act was the realization that staying silent, staying complicit, was only allowing the cycle to continue. If I didn't step away, I would never fully reclaim my life. I would always be trapped in a role that he assigned for me, rather than living as the person I am meant to be. Walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done. It meant breaking ties, not just with my father, but with the community that upheld and enabled his behavior. It meant facing the fear of judgment and ostracization, but it also meant freedom. Freedom to find my own voice, to define my own beliefs, and to live a life that was mine. I share my story now because I know I am not alone. There are others who have been silenced, objectified, and controlled in the name of faith or family. To them, I want to say, your worth is not defined by someone else's expectations. You have the right to be seen, heard, and loved for who you truly are. This is Delores, the pastor's daughter. I love you. And remember, you are important to me. I need you to survive. Please stay tuned for part 2. Bye-bye for now.